Let's go! Not over.
Hey, it's another episode of Indie Comics Relay. I am your host, Keith Gleason, creator of the Mighty Mascots. With me, as always, is Johnny C., creator of Surrounded by Death and Sartana. Johnny, how's it going on this fine Thursday night?
A Thursday night. Don't adjust your TV sets or your computer screens. We are here on a Thursday night.
Yeah, I was thinking today, I kind of enjoyed, how we had the week off, last week and stuff. We're trying to get back more into our schedule, but then we ended up doubling up this week. So it's like you can't win. But
it was nice having the time, the downtime a little bit, just to kind of recenter yourselves a little bit. And I got all these other projects in the background, but also it's like, when there's people doing stuff out there, people that we know, particularly, we want to be able to feature them. And, tonight's no different, and that's part of it, right?
Yeah. And then for those joining us tonight, last night we also featured an anthology creative team. So it's kind of funny how these kind of episodes lined up, So it was
these two-for episodes.
Yeah, these two-for. I feel like I'm in the radio business, when they do those two-for Tuesdays.
Two-for Tuesday. Yeah, in the morning or evening zoo.
Yeah, exactly. So the guests we have on tonight, which I really, and we've talked many times on this show about Global Comix. Not only were they our earliest guests, which it was nice of them to do our show, but I think they are doing not only are they doing an awesome anthology, but they are doing digital comics right. I feel like, don't you feel the same?
Oh man, I don't think I've ever seen a digital comics platform that was so involved with the independent creators as much as Global Comix has been. And I knew that from the very jump when I met all those guys at C2E2, the last time there was a C2E2.
Yeah.
They had a really cool platform. It was like, when you see something and you get that feeling like, I know that's going to be big. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah,
I feel like they're working towards that, and I could clearly see it when they were showing off the platform to me. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, awesome. Yeah, and it's just what else can you say? We love what they're doing. We've talked to many creators and let them know about Global Comix as well, because I think that Global Comix is a great way for indie creators to stand out, whereas Comixology, you're just lost, So
yeah.
But before we bring our guests in, let's say hi to some of the people in the chat. We got Ara with us, all right, always. Hey, buddy, good to see you tonight.
Ara.
Thanks for joining us, as always.
Thanks always, my man.
We got Johnny C.
Yeah, I'm in two places at once.
Yeah, you are. You split yourself off here.
I'm a little bit of everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Oliver from 656 Comics, thanks for joining us. I actually talked to Oliver today. He's going to be on the show in the next few weeks. He's got a really cool looking Indiegogo project. So thanks for joining us, Oliver. Who else we got in here tonight? Global Comix. They're also
Global
splitting
Comix
themselves.
is in the house. They actually just teased to me right now in the private chat that there's going to be a little bit of something special later on for the viewers. So, keep watching.
Really?
You're going to want to watch to the very end.
Awesome.
Because you might benefit off of something real sweet that they got going on.
Oh, it's great. My wife in the chat as well. She will be sharing out the links tonight. Hey,
thank you, Amy. Thank you.
As always, thank you.
Ryan, thank you for joining us.
Ryan. Hey, Tony Sedani. Wow.
Tony.
Harry's with us.
Harry, back again.
Roland's with us too. Wow,
Roland.
Man, we got a packed house again tonight.
That's
awesome.
Great. We're glad you guys are all watching.
All right, so without further ado, let's start bringing our guests in.
Yeah, I've got cereal just in case if I get the munchies later. I can just I can eat some cereal.
Awesome. Yeah, you got the Apple Jacks in there, right? Awesome. So yeah, let's first bring in Christopher Carter, the head honcho over at Global, right?
Hey,
yeah, that's the man.
Hey, Chris, thanks for joining us. We got
thanks
Eric Capper with us.
Oh,
and apparently the police as well.
Yeah. Eric, are you running from the law?
Yes. If Chris is the head honcho, I guess I'm the leg honcho. So.
Yeah, right. Thanks for joining us again. And then also we got Landry Walker with us. Hey, Landry.
Hey.
How's it going?
Thanks for joining.
We didn't get to talk to you quick backstage. How you doing, man? Can you hear us?
Oh, we don't got you on audio, Landry.
Can you hear us?
There we go. How's that?
Oh, yay.
Oh, there we go.
Hey, Landry. How you doing?
Excellent.
Good. How are you?
Good. Yeah, so we've had Global Comix on with us about a year, well, maybe about 9 months ago. It was sometime last summer.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Global Comix. I even went after, I think, like 2 months after you guys were on the show, and I finally uploaded some of my books to the site. And yeah, I really love the service. I think what you guys are doing is amazing, as always. And has anything changed since the last 9 months that we talked to you guys?
I mean, lots of things change all the time. I think,
awesome.
We push out between 1 and 10 updates every week, all the time. So
awesome. Anything that you guys can share that's been a milestone since we last talked to you, or?
Well, I mean, I think, like over the past year or so, just the pure amount of readership and the pure amount of content that's come onto the platform has exploded. We're almost at a 10x size from when we were last on here.
Oh, wow.
But like milestones, I think the biggest milestones really are the folks that are really engaged and are doing proper promotion around their content are actually starting to make some decent revenue off of it too, which is really good, right? Like, when we last talked, we were super early on, and as we're continuing to grow, it's benefiting everyone that has come in.
Rising tides raise all boats.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I see that you guys brought a lot of the small indie companies aboard. Like I saw AWA joined up, and what was some of the other ones I saw? You know, like I get the newsletter, so I constantly, I constantly see what's being added, and I think that's a great service too. You know, you get like the little link on like what's coming out, and what new creators are jumping on and things like that. So,
well, it's great too. You get the email, you get the updates as to what's new. You click the link and you're diving right in. It's not like you have to filter through, find the book on the platform. It's like it's right there for you, and it's so user friendly. It's so seamless.
Have you guys discovered any like amazing like breakout talents that are going to be huge in a few years? On the site.
That's almost on a regular basis, right?
That's awesome. That's great. That's what I think. Like, I mean, because like, let's be honest, we're seeing Marvel and DC kind of fall apart, every day more and more, and I'm seeing like the indie community stepping up, more and more every day. So it's like, it's really awesome to see. I think it's like people creating their own books, retaining their own IPs. And doing their own thing, So I love that Global Comix is part of that,
Me too, man. Me too.
Yeah, it's so good.
Absolutely.
And so Landry, are you a creator as well? Or are you how are you involved with these guys?
Yeah, well, in this case, I've been a comics creator for about 30 years. I've been making comics, I think. Yeah, about 30 years. And I'm doing. I worked on this anthology with Global Comix, which is a piece I'm really proud of, and I'm looking forward to talking about.
Yeah, they gave me some. I'll have to bring up some pages here shortly to show everybody. But yeah, so how did this come about? Like, let's get right into the anthology. How did the COVID anthology come about? Besides just the state of the world.
I mean, this is kind of like the most incredulous.
Looks like we lost Landry. Oh, he'll be back. Anyways, go ahead, Chris.
This is kind of like the most incredulous, history story or creation story. It kind of went like this. As COVID was unfolding last year around April, May. It was unclear and unknown how that would affect comics publishers and comic creators and local comic book stores, etc. And at the time, rightfully so, like a lot of people were freaking out. And what really kind of inspired me was this fact that the community kind of came together to support each other with picking up new books and shipping to each other and sharing leftover inventory and like all of these things. And along with that was a Facebook group. I think it's called something like Plan C Distribution or something like that.
Yep.
And I kind of just posed the question, right? Like I said, hey, we are a digital platform. We know that most of the folks in here deal with print, etc. What is the way that we can actually step in and help? How can we contribute and help shops and help fans and help creators? And one guy made a suggestion that said, why don't you make an anthology? Why don't you do something for charity and donate the proceeds? Fantastic idea. I don't think he expected us to actually follow up on it, though. But, like within a month and a half after that, we'd engaged with Janelle Aslin, the editor of our anthology, and we tasked her with, here's the premise, right? Like, we want to do something that helps the community and that helps creators. We want to try and bridge this hostility gap between digital and local comic stores, right? Like, we're all comic community. We're all fans. We're all people that enjoy this medium and the stories. And she liked that idea. And so she's like, all right, well, let me see who I can bring along. And Landry here is one of them.
Awesome.
And so we've kind of, been working on this over the course of the past, I'd say 8 months, 9 months, something like that. And it's all finally come together.
So did you guys, when you decided that you were going to do an anthology, did you guys go to this Facebook group and start looking for creators and putting the call out? Is that how it worked?
No, Janelle did that.
Oh, Janelle. Now, Janelle is she did she work for Global Comix, or is she?
No, Janelle is an editor. She's worked for a whole slew of different companies, I think including DC, etc.
Gotcha. So she kind of took on the role of like a project coordinator kind of thing.
Yeah,
to put this together. Okay.
I'm pulling up the information here on her background.
So now, in terms of all the creators that you had come aboard, now were you solely recruiting from within Global Comix creators, or were you kind of just bringing anybody who was willing to participate?
I mean, I think that the criteria that we went for was we wanted folks that had some recognition.
Ryan said she was his DC editor years ago. Ryan Wynn's used to ink for all the major companies. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, go ahead.
And,
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
We wanted to get a really kind of diverse group of different backgrounds and cultures and perspectives, because everyone was experiencing the pandemic differently, and so we wanted to make sure we had a good representation of the entire community, not necessarily from just inside of a Global Comix bubble or friends of friends or whatever.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, I like that though. I mean, so now it looks like you guys had broken it down into, is that even English? Broken it. Looks like you guys broke it down to like 7 separate stories. Is that what I'm seeing on the page here? I'm going to bring it up shortly here.
I got to read the first few, and I love the content. The stories were definitely had COVID, like some were very COVID centric, some were kind of just like how COVID slightly inspired this bigger thing. I believe the story with the individual of their Iranian descent really stuck out with me. I loved that one. Just kind of like it showed how pop culture, how his culture was reflected in pop culture, and how kind of COVID allowed him to be able to change his perspective. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, man. Like some of those stories really hit you in the feels.
They do. They really do.
Well, and especially because Johnny, you've talked about a lot on like how and it's with different creators too, like how some people are thriving, with COVID. They're like focused, hyper focused, and putting the output of work is like been amazing. But other people are like drowning and like just depressed and so it's like it's interesting to see the dichotomy of that, and I haven't read these, but I imagine that probably touches upon some of those themes. I would guess, right?
Yeah, and politics is a part of it too, as you'll find in some of the shorter stories there.
I was just going to say, I believe Landry's story is the first one. Am I correct?
That's
I remember
correct.
Correctly?
Yeah.
And speaking to that specifically, Keith, I mean, Landry's story was very, very steeped in real COVID emotions, things that, you would hear at the very beginning of the pandemic that affected people. I mean, Landry did such an awesome job of laying that out in that first story there.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah, they gave me a code to
Thank you.
Landry, can you hear us? No.
Oh, man.
I don't know how he's
I think it's fitting that his story is called Persevere, and he's been persevering through this to try to get online. It shows great respect to Landry.
Oh,
Man.
That's great.
He disappears when observed.
Yeah, right.
I know, but this Keith, this short was awesome. The artwork is beautiful. The just the stories, the individual. Now, I wish Landry was here to speak on it. Are these actual stories that he integrated, or were they just characters he created, kind of giving them issues?
Let me see if he's not frozen this time.
He could probably speak best to that, but hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
If we can get a
Yeah,
word out, right?
I don't really want to speak on his behalf since he's actually here.
Right.
So Johnny, I didn't get a chance to read it, but I'm gonna like kind of scroll through it here.
Yeah, and
So-
as you're scrolling through, I mean, you're really getting a sense of how awesome Global Comix is to use for these digital reading. I mean, all these
Yeah.
panels are isolated, by the creators. So who did the panel work on this one, guys?
You mean actually like drawing it, or
Or no,
Or
the
just
frames,
laid it out.
the frame
Oh.
layout.
I set up the interactive reading on all of the issues.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah, it looks really good.
You did
Yeah,
a
you're right,
wonderful
Johnny.
job,
The
Chris.
artwork,
Thank you.
I'm forgetting to talk here because I'm like lost in the artwork and stuff. But yeah, the artwork is really nice. I mean, it looks like a great story. Yeah, no, I really like, and I love the Global Comix, the way, like the way you can set up your pages, and you're in charge of that, where you don't leave it to Comixology to do it,
There's a wonderful interactive panel at one point. I don't know what story it's on, but it's like a perfect H. And it's so great because I love the way you can just isolate things. You can just direct the way you want it to be seen. And I love the way the platform does that.
Click on the zoom out one notch.
Like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
There you go.
Perfect.
There you go.
Yeah.
Satisfying AF.
Let me
Yeah,
see if
exactly. So much so.
Landry keeps coming in and out. I mean, every time I try to bring him in, he's like either frozen or he just disappears. So once he gets in, we'll pick his brain to see what was going on there. Now, what's the creative team on this second story?
So
Or is it somewhere?
if you can bring up the link that I shared with you on the news post, it actually has the full list, so then we can put it on screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's in the private chat, Keith.
Okay. This one. Here we go. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
Perfect.
scroll
Oh,
down.
yeah. Here we go. So this one, Jamal. I know Jamal. Jamal Eigel and Jess Fleming. Oh, Jamal. Did Jamal write it? Or did he... let me see if it has a...
I believe so.
I know Jamal writes now as well. Oh, that's cool. I haven't talked to him in years, but I love Jamal. We used to have a great time at conventions. Let's see. Yeah, no, this stuff looks great. It's awesome that you guys, the creators here are like powerhouse creators, and then also like small indie creators. It's awesome that they
It's a really nice
wanted
mix.
to do that.
Yeah.
I really like the
well-
lettering in here. It's very creative as well.
I was just going to say, can Chris or Eric, can you guys talk about curating the stories for the anthology? Just like, can you just maybe talk about your selection process, or even just kind of going through people who submitted?
So we were actually not involved hands-on in that. That was something that we left to Janelle. As much as I'd like to say that I'm a connoisseur of comics consumption, I'm also not a very good project leader of comics creation yet at this time. So,
Right.
like,
Well, hey, the technical guy, right?
yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I imagine running Global Comix is like a full-time, 80-hour job, 80-hour a week kind of job, right? I imagine.
The amount of times that I've been pushing code to production at 3 a.m. is kind of ridiculous.
I can imagine.
I like the smirk on Eric's face. Like you don't even know the half of it.
Landry, you there? Yep. Before we get into the next one here.
We're getting
Landry.
nice.
One more time.
Hey, there we go,
Hello.
Landry.
It's
Can you hear me
are you
okay?
using a phone? You might have a better
All right.
better luck with a laptop.
I think he was on that earlier.
Yeah.
Oh, was he? Okay, so he's just
it
not
might
having
just
a
be
great-
an action issue or something.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
All right, so let me take a look at the. I want to see who this next creative team is. Alex.
Fantastic Flame.
I've heard of that guy.
That was a
Alex
wonderful
Segura.
story as well.
He's a name. I've seen him on some stuff.
He was recently. He just joined Oni Press as well. As part of their, he's like, I think the SVP of maybe marketing. I'm not actually sure what the exact position is, but I saw he just got a great position at Oni Press, which is a wonderful publisher, and he's also an amazing creator as well.
Yeah, that's
Excellent.
probably where his name's popped up in my feeds and stuff is probably because of the Oni Press stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Let me take a look at this story too. This looks great. Yeah, I'll have to sit down and read this later, just to see because I know there was a couple. They did a couple anthologies for COVID, right? That were printed, that went to stores to help with stores or something like that, right?
Yeah, there were quite a few that were done. Sorry, go on.
Oh, no, I was just saying, I think there's been a couple.
Yeah. And this one really looks good.
Specifically on this one too is just each, like I said, each story is kind of very diverse, but there is a COVID-centric kind of through line that ties it through. So even if you're like a reader coming aboard looking to check it out, it's not like you're going to be hit over the head with COVID stories. There's a wide variety of, and I've read the first 4. There's a wide variety of different tales that kind of just have this light through line, and it's not like, and it's very well curated. I'll have to give props to Janelle on social, just for really putting together such a wonderfully thought out, edited book.
Yeah, the art's really good on this.
The vignettes are really, really beautiful. By the
almost
way,
looks
Landry,
like an Archie comic a little bit,
Landry
I got that vibe too. Yep, go on.
Landry actually sent me a message that gave me, or he wrote me a message just now that is talking about his motivation for the story. If you want me to read it out loud.
Yeah, right. That would be awesome. Please.
So he said, well, that's not working. In case you have a chance to communicate this. So to answer the one question I heard, I interviewed several close friends to get their feelings on how the pandemic was affecting them. These were all people I've known for decades, and each one had been affected in a different way. I felt a need to reach out and talk to people about their own experiences because my own has been relatively sheltered. It's an important topic, and I know enough people similarly protected from the effects in one way or another that I thought it necessary to try and communicate the real-world struggle the pandemic has created in everyday life, but also to highlight the strength these people still have. Hope is essential right now, even still today.
Yeah, no, that's great. And Johnny, does that feel like the story that was told?
That 100%. That's the story I read. Like I said, we talked about it before. We talked a little bit about yesterday. Some people thrived during COVID. Some people kind of, went inward. And it sounds like he took the skill set that he had to be able to reach out to people. And I'm sure that was probably very helpful in certain scenarios for individuals just to have somebody to talk to during that time frame. It was so, the world as we know it in our lives never went through anything this drastic or dramatic. So, to have individuals take their skill sets, even, something as simple as putting together some comic strips that could, give back, is just so wonderful to see that happen. It was so wonderful to see Landry gave people like a soapbox to kind of show that, lots of people are feeling this way. Lots of people are struggling, and people aren't alone throughout all of this.
Awesome.
That's super well said.
How did you guys do during the pandemic? Were you thriving? Were you depressed? Were you sheltered? Were you productive?
I'd say they were thriving.
Well, I'll go first. I think it was a bit of everything. I think that there was a lot of grief involved in the experience. And I think a lot of people resonate with that. And having experienced a fair amount of grief in my life, what I have learned is that there is room for having extreme emotions that are seemingly oppositional. And I think there was an immense amount of negativity and depression and sort of aimlessness. And then there was also a degree of feeling reborn and getting a chance to reset. But also maybe feeling guilty about that sometimes, and feeling really creative, and then feeling like not being able to get out of bed until noon. It was honestly a mix. But Global Comix, as a whole, I mean, we've had plenty of ups and downs, but generally speaking, we've been like slowly bubbling it up. And
awesome.
One of the loveliest things about it has been being able to constantly just do a little bit more for people that I know are on the other end of a computer, that are trying their hardest to get their work out, and us knowing that if we just do this one thing a little bit more, that they're going to reach another person too. So for me, that's been a huge outlet, and among
awesome.
a million other things I could say, but that's
yeah.
If I can interject, everything that Eric just said pretty much reinforces what I said earlier. Global Comix has 100% been there to help reinforce and boost the independent creator more so than any digital comics platform. And, it's right there. It shows. And I personally thank you guys for having such a wonderful platform.
Thank you.
thank you.
How about you, Chris? Were you how were you during the pandemic? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What?
I mean, so honestly, I've not really had a lot of experience with the pandemic itself, and I'll tell you why. Right, like at the end of last year in October, my son was born, first son.
Oh, congrats!
And so during the majority of the pandemic last year, my wife was pregnant, and we traveled from New York, and we were staying in Ohio for most of the time.
Okay.
And it's just kind of like laid back suburban life. So if I had been in New York, I would have been a lot closer to the restrictions and the lockdown, as it were. But for me, life during last year was more around being at home and having time to spend time with my wife and eventually my son when he got born, and being able to work from home made that super smooth, I guess I should say, right? Like if I had been working at a different company somewhere, then maybe my experience of with how the pandemic had affected me would have been a little bit different. But my focus was entirely around my family and on my wife and on my kid, like that's where my headspace has been. It's been Global Comix, and it's been my kid. Yeah. And so, I've just tried to be super thankful for the fact that I have the luxury of being at home every day and like seeing all of the first moments for the past 8 months, And so I think more about that and less about the pandemic itself.
Yeah.
As it were, I'm trying to use those two things as motivation to continue doing the things that we're doing without getting depressed about it.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And I think that's sort of where I was at too. It's like all of a sudden, like you go from being out all the time on the weekends to having all this time you've always wanted, at least with me, like all this time being at home to get things done, to be creative, not just with, the comics, but also like getting stuff done around the house you've been dying to for years, things like that, and I guess I disagree. I liked having that pause on the world, you know what I mean? Just so that I could get caught up,
Yeah, that was the thing too. Was during the whole like pre-pandemic time frame, I was traveling so much, I would have begged for the time off. And then when I finally had it, because the world shut down, it's like I didn't even know what to do with it. I was like completely lost. And like where you said, some people thrived and some people regressed. I definitely fell into the category of regressing just because it was just like the break. I had lifetime whiplash, like where I didn't know what to do with myself first,
Well, I think with Johnny, with you too, because you're very sociable. Like whenever I see you at a convention, it's like, it's like, hey, there's Johnny. He's like the the head, the head of the room, kind of thing. The head honcho. And it's
I wouldn't
like
go that far, but
I mean,
okay.
I guess it's like everyone's always happy to see you, so like maybe
Well,
that's a better
I'm
way
happy
to
to
say
see
it.
everybody, so it works
Right,
that
and
way,
it's like all of a sudden that's gone. You know what I mean? Like that, like, and I miss that aspect of the world, is seeing all our friends at conventions. And
I completely agree. That's the one thing that I miss the most too, is like being able to go and meet up with all of y'all, and have fun together.
Yeah. I definitely know the last time I saw these guys, I had a lot of fun. So in person,
that was where Chicago, right?
Chicago. I miss Chicago. That was a lot of fun.
From that night that will never reach the other day.
Do you have any of Johnny?
Probably.
I think we were all hanging out. I'm sure there.
Yeah, no, it was a great night. We had a lot of fun. One of my favorite panels came up over here. It was actually the exterior of San Diego Comic-Con. I thought that was so cool that they added that in there.
Was it in this story? I might have breezed right by.
I believe so. It could have been it could be in the next one. I don't remember. You could have breezed by it.
Okay. And then
let's take the Persian one I spoke of earlier that I really enjoyed. It was great.
Let me bring back the credits here so we can see who Persian version of Pop Culture in America by Cena Grace. Oh yeah, that's the guy on Iceman, right? And he worked for Marvel for a while, and I think he's doing some stuff with Dark Horse. So that's cool. So so he was just listed. Was it just him that did this story?
For the most part, yeah.
Oh wow, awesome, very cool. Yeah, so I'm trying to. I want people to actually, go and read this stuff. So I don't want to show everything, but maybe we'll stop it at this story.
But so this is as far as I read as well. But one of the things I enjoyed about this was also just the totally different artwork. Like the image of like Laura Croft was very much like standard 90s comic book style versus his standard style. The stories being told is a little bit more simplistic and cartoonish and this Dennis the Menace style.
Yeah, this seems to me to be like when I think of really, really independent style, like this is that what I think of is like this kind of look,
Absolutely.
Where it's more like slice of life kind of stories,
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah,
and this is very much a slice of life story told over time, and again with having that slight little, COVID through line there.
Awesome. Yeah. So, and then how did what was the decision? Beside, it looks like you guys released them in segments. Was that like something? Why that decision? Was that
Well, I mean, I think there's a couple of reasons. One is that we wanted to have a narrative that would keep going for a couple of weeks, that isn't just one and done, right? And another part is that, I mean, we kind of have to play to the strengths of the platform, right? Like the fact that, if you're following the creator, you get the announcements, you get the notifications. And playing around this idea that you can release 6 pages or 10 pages or a whole chapter or whatever it is at a time, Global Comix. We wanted a way to bring that aspect into the way that we told the story and we let the story out into the world, while it still is also designed in a way where it could be put in a book.
Oh, okay, cool. So are you guys planning to do that as well? Like print?
I was going to ask, is there a print publication being considered here? Or
it's not something that we have active plans of at this time. There's some other things that we're considering that might be super cool around the charity theme. But I don't want to go too much into detail on that yet.
I was going to slip in a joke, but I was like, but if you look under your chairs right now.
Oh, my God.
Digital
awesome.
comics.
Now is the anthology finished, or is there more chapters to come?
There's 7 chapters, and the ones that are out now are the ones that are in this one for this round. If we do another one in the future, maybe. But for us to like do original works like this or work with people for original works, it's not something that we specialize in, and so it needs to be something that has a purpose and a meaning and something that benefits the community more so than just doing an anthology or doing a book for the sake of doing a book, right? And that's why we really like this idea of the COVID anthology, because it's near and dear to everyone, and it's something that everyone really can relate to in one way or another.
Awesome. We're all affected.
Yeah. I mean, there's no hiding from it, right? So it's like, you know, so that was great. I applaud you guys for doing that, you know, because like a lot of publishers that, you know, wouldn't even think about doing this, you know. So it's kind of cool to see that you guys have done this. Anything cool on the horizon for Global Comix beyond this that you can talk about, I guess?
I mean,
any features you can tease or anything?
How do I answer that?
Vaguely, I guess.
We're just fishing for exclusives. That's all.
Yeah.
I mean, there's hundreds of issues coming up on Global Comix on a monthly basis, and we try to find a pretty cool mix between, you know, indie creators and indie publishers and publishers in general. One thing that I'm kind of excited about is we might very soon have content in another language coming onto the platform.
Oh, really cool.
That does both English and this other language.
Very cool.
Which brings a whole new flavor of content and like types of stories, humor and culture into the mix, which I'm super excited about.
That's very cool, actually, because like, how, you know, like, because I mean, how many great comics are coming out from overseas that we never see? You know what I mean? Like, so now would you guys be looking to do a bunch of different countries, or is it like, is it up to them more?
Multi-language publishing is a thing on Global Comix anyways.
Okay.
But like, look, I'll be honest, right? Like I can dream all day, and I'm going to answer what my dream is, right? Like I want all of the world's comics on the platform.
Yeah. It's a good dream to have.
I think it was Keith up here, or no, Harry, that actually asked the question about, you know, what was our influences growing up.
Okay.
And so like I think I can answer that with this context, and that's like, you know, I grew up with Spawn, and I grew up with Asterix, and I grew up with Tintin. I grew up with Batman, right? Like all of these various, very different types of stories. I also grew up with some uniquely Norwegian type of comics and cartoons. And then at some point in my teens, I got introduced to manga and anime and that whole side of things, right? So like I can't really say that I have one inspiration per se. But what I really want is all of those to be in one place. Because when I was living in Norway, there were things that I couldn't get, or things that I could only get while I was in Norway. When I moved to France, I couldn't get the things that were in Norway anymore. And a lot of the things in English I couldn't get, but there were cool French comics there that I no longer have access to because I don't live there, right? And so like, it's kind of this mentality of there's a lot of really amazing work that doesn't make it past the country border for no good reason whatsoever. And so that, right? Like, let's help these creators, American creators, British creators, French creators, Japanese, Korean, whatever it might be, to find their audience. And that audience exists, you know, beyond this invisible line of one country to another.
Yeah, I feel like that's very much like Netflix's model. Like, you know, you can go to Netflix and you find, you know, content, movies, TV shows from Korea, from overseas, from the UK, from Australia, stuff that you wouldn't normally see. It's now available through this digital platform format that's streaming. Well, you guys are essentially doing the same effective thing for comics, and more specifically for indie comics, and really giving the people the platform to do that. And I think that's great because you, like you said, you're breaking down boundaries and borders, and you're doing it, serving it directly up to people's screens.
Yes, sir.
That's the goal.
Harry asks if we could if we could do a COVID comic from the bat's perspective. Bat's got a bat.
The poor bat that flew out of Wuhan.
Yeah. Or how they're trying to, claim their identity back, or their reputation back would be kind of funny. That's a funny story. But yeah, no, that's great. Anything else that you guys can share or anything? No? Eric, anything?
Well, I think we can share some stuff that recently happened. Just to highlight,
please.
Heavy Metal recently joined our roster.
Cool.
Bliss on
Very
Tap
cool.
joined this week. And actually, since we last hung out, we launched our unlimited reading subscription service. So for a cup of an expensive cup of coffee, but a cup of coffee, you can read pretty much thousands of comics on our site now.
What's the price on that?
It's $1.99 for your first month, and then $7.99 after that. So we're basically saying, come on in for a little bit, test it out, see what's up, and then go from there.
Awesome. How current is somebody like AWA, right? Who's been putting out like maybe 3 to 5 books a month now.
Yeah.
How current are there? Do they release with Global Comix the same time they release in the stores, or is there a time period in between?
Yep, they do. They have same-day release on all of their digital platforms, and Global Comix is one of them.
Oh, great!
So they put the content up a couple of weeks ahead of time and use the scheduling function, and then it just goes live when it goes live.
Yep.
Awesome. And are the publishers? Have you gotten any feedback from like guys like that? Are they seeing better? How do I say that? Are they seeing better returns on Global Comix than say Comixology, or are they even sharing that info with you guys?
That's not really kind of a conversation that we have with them.
Okay, I just curious if they gave you guys any feedback, oh, we love this service, or
Well, yeah. I mean, the things that they appreciate, the things that they compliment, is the fact that we engage with our creators and our publishers, and we promote them, and we bring them into the conversations in social channels, and all of these things that mean that we're working together for something, as opposed to just being a vendor that just ships their stuff, right? And I think it's that connection that is the most important part of how we do our business. It's how we create relationships with folks like you and, like everyone else.
A legit community, a real comic reading community that can talk to the creators. I'm assuming a bunch of creators are on the, you guys get a Discord channel, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Or Discord server. Imagine there's a lot of creators on there that connect with fans, and I mean that's the way to do it. I mean that's the way you build a community, you build readership.
I'll also add that unless I totally zoned out, we also have the Talent Marketplace, which is a place to.
Oh yeah, what's that? No, what's that? I haven't heard about that now.
So I was actually just going to mention that because I remember you guys launched that fairly recently. So I'm sorry, go on.
So no official announcement, but to anybody listening who knows somebody that may either be looking for work or looking to hire for work, we launched this thing called the Talent Marketplace, and basically you can go on there, upload a comics forward resume with images or samples of work, your experience, and you can highlight pretty much your package and your rates and everything like that. And then you can also post projects and get people hired and do the whole transaction through our messaging system on Global Comix. So it's kind of the first of its kind. There's a lot of forums on Facebook and Reddit and everywhere that people are looking to connect with creators. And you'll never replace word of mouth in terms of certain types of relationships, but this is a way to or I should say a native home for creators in comics to meet each other and hopefully find great other people.
Keith, if you bring up your screen share, it's actually sitting in the top navigation of one of the tabs that you have there. You can bring it up.
Oh, is it? Okay. Yeah, let me see. Was it the one with the
COVID
or
if Chris
credits?
wants to take over control, I don't know if Chris can share. Can you share, Chris?
Yeah,
Yeah, if you want to share your screen,
That way you can drive.
You can drive and show
I'll
us
drive.
everything.
Okay. Let's see. Share my screen.
And in the meantime, Eric, you were mentioning that Landry's got a new project he wanted to shout out. You mind
Yes.
going over that?
Yeah,
Yes,
let me
so
share
we've
that
been
in,
texting off screen. If you
I'm
want to
gonna
blast
share
out
that
that
to the
link.
chat here as well. The link.
Yeah, I just
As you
sent
talk
over that.
about it.
Yeah, there we go. Yep, that's
Yep.
the link. It's in the chat. You can find it on all the platforms.
Yep. Landry put out Pepper Page Saves the Universe through First Second. And through the link that they just blasted out, you'll be able to check it out. I don't know too much about it because it just sent it to me as a quick shout out, but please take a look. Landry is an amazingly talented guy. He's been, in business for a long time, and he really knows what he's doing. So highly recommended.
Awesome. And then here we go. We Chris sharing the screen here.
So
we
there's
can
a section here called Talent up in the top. It's basically our talent marketplace.
Okay.
And it's a tool for folks to do one of two things: find other people or put themselves for hire. And so it's basically kind of like your directory listing combined with a social feed on folks posting things like, they're looking for commissions, these people are all for hire, or they're looking for other people, looking for an artist, looking for a writer, etc. And as a viewer, you can always filter on specific roles, right? So you can say, I'm looking for a colorist and an anchor.
Oh, cool.
And then it brings up, okay, what kind? So
Very
here's
cool.
people looking for, or here's a person looking for a colorist, and here's a colorist looking for work. I could filter by the specific ones too, etc.
So is this part of the paid service, or can any creator just come on the site to look for other creators?
That's 100% free to use. Anyone can use it right now.
There you
Very
go.
cool. I may list my services as a letterer on there at some point.
There you go, Keith.
Hey,
I was just going to say, so I used to work for an internet recruitment company. So they did, job searches, things like that. And this looks just like that platform. So, for your perspective, people, your job search platform, this looks just like that. And it looks like it's just as easy to navigate and use.
Right.
Thank you. We actually used the talent marketplace to find the cover creator for the anthology. So we were dogfitting our own project. And so here's kind of what it looks like, right? You make a post, you can put in a description, you can give a whole bunch of information about, how many pages is it, what's the production outputs, etc. And you can put some attachments on for people to look at to get context. And then as the owner of a listing, you actually get things like how many people were viewing it and where did they come from. All of the same tracking as you have on comics reading is actually applied to this one. And cool. You get the applications list, and you can manage, accept and deny, and have a conversation, and get a little bit of background information on each of them. And they can fill out kind of like a resume and experience, and so you can manage all of this part of workflow of finding team members or folks that want to hire you directly in the interface.
Awesome. So cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, you guys are killing it. Honestly, if digital comics reading, I don't think I'd go anywhere else now. But you guys.
So, just for perspective, you guys are becoming an all-in-one stop shop, right? It's not like you can go onto Comixology and help, find other comic creators to help collaborate with. You guys are really making it when you, as a comic creator, go onto Global Comix, you can find everything you need from reading other books to finding other creators to work with. And I think that's fantastic.
Yeah,
I think you hit the nail right on the head. We want to be the best possible service that we can for comic creators, period.
But also, creators out there watching, join the community. That's what it's all about, right? Getting to know like-minded people, getting to know network. It's all there for you. It's not just reading the comics, but it is, but it's also, it's almost like that you're creating that comic shop experience where, and I used to work at a comic store and people would come in and just, there'd be a group standing there for hours just talking about comic books and,
Right.
movies and everything, it's like, that's essentially the same thing for the digital age,
Absolutely.
Also wanted to mention, you guys are generous enough, like, to offer any of our viewers a promo code.
Eric, did you want to go over the details of that?
Yeah, please. Like, I'll just mess it up if I do it.
Oh yeah, no problem at all. We just wanted to say thank you, everybody that's stuck around and watched. They're going to blast out a link in the chat across the platforms, and the first 5 people that use that link or the code that Chris just shared on their account get a free week of reading. So yeah, the first 5 people to click that link and use that code, free week of reading on the platform. You can check it out. There's a lot of great stuff there, all the new AWA stuff, everything from heavy metal. There's a couple Top Cow titles on there that we're currently working with. And, there's honestly just a ton of great indie creators that I would be here all night listing if I went through them all, including Johnny C.
Actually,
me
that's
too. I'm
one
on
of the
there
places. Oh, are you on there, Keith?
Yeah, I have. Well, I
yeah.
have my older stuff on there, like Hero
There you go.
Envy and Swamp
Yeah.
Tales.
Yeah, actually, Global Comix is one of the only places right now where you can read the preview edition of Surrounded by Death issue 2, the Kickstarter I have launching next month. So by all means, any one of those 5 people, you claim that promo code, you can go read that right now for free.
Yeah, and also I'm going to share the link for the Discord server. So if you're looking for like-minded, creators and just a place to chat about comics, go join the Discord server.
Please come hang out.
And come hang out with these guys. Hang out with all the creators. And how many do you guys have a big community there now? I know we stopped by back when you were last on the show. It must have doubled by now, I would imagine.
Oh, I think there's like a total of 150, but
That's
not
pretty good.
everyone's online at the same time, kind of.
Yeah,
situation.
that's actually really good for, like a new hangout place,
Yeah, there's about 40,
about it.
45 online right now.
Awesome.
I
Yeah,
gotta
that's great.
learn how to use Discord more. It's like all these
I know,
new
me
things
too.
are
It's like, I
coming
know
in,
it's
I
a
gotta
thing
figure it
now,
out. I feel
And
like
you
I
guys
only
were
just
ahead of the
recently
curve.
figured out Twitter, to an extent. And now I'm like, I gotta learn Discord.
And
Did any of-
Johnny,
Did any of you all actually use IRC back in the day?
A little bit, but I used it for nefarious purposes that we won't get into.
Now, what is IRC?
IRC is the progenitor of Discord and Slack and everything. It stands for Internet Relay Chat, and it was the original chat protocol that folks would use. Servers and channels and whatever.
I was like, for a second, is that the Bizarro version of us? Because we're like ICR, so.
Right, I was gonna say.
It was what I used to download Jurassic Park 3 at home.
Right. All of a sudden, a drone with like Paramount goes like through your window.
T-Rex right outside my window. I can see his eye looking in.
Awesome. And then Johnny, I know you wanted to kind of ask them about we were talking about like crowdsourcing and doing like the digital aspect of it. I know we kind of talked a little bit backstage about it, but did you want to bring that up at all with these guys?
I mean, I don't know. I don't want to put these guys on the spot, but I really
you want to
wanted
know. Well, you're not. You're just going to give them constructive feedback. Maybe like
I had
something
a
to
feature
consider.
request. Yeah, I had a feature request of being able to download the PDF or having the option to download a PDF digital file from the comic you're reading, which in my mind would work great for digital fulfillment for Kickstarters, right? So if I'm a guy who's put out a new book, if it's on Global Comix, if I say, hey, this is the digital reward, they can either A, go to the site, put in a code, read it online, or download the PDF from the spot. Again, don't want to put you guys in the spot, but I feel like that would be such a great help to independent creators with their digital fulfillment rewards, as opposed to having to go through, say, Dropbox or Google Drive.
I'll say this much. while today we don't have PDFs, it's something that we've been talking about. It's come up a lot with a lot of different people. And one of my favorite features that to train creators on, we have a custom promo code generator. So you can actually set per title and a certain let's say amount of pages or amount of you can set a forever promo code if somebody uses it as a way to digitally fulfill Kickstarter. So you could just send out a code across.
It exists then,
Johnny.
They just don't get they just don't get a physical copy of it.
Yeah,
but that's actually not a bad idea, because then it you don't have to worry about doing a digital copy, but you can also actually it protects the creator in a way, because they can't take your digital copy and distribute it everywhere. You know?
Please distribute it! Are you kidding me? As an independent creator, steal my stuff. Distributed everywhere. Are you kidding?
But that's actually, to answer your PDF thing, though, so we've thought a lot about it, and I've thought a lot about it, and there's a couple of things that come to mind, right? Yes, making the PDF downloadable is super easy. Now, then I started thinking, I don't want to just give access to the original PDF that was uploaded, right? That's probably not the best idea. And then I started thinking about okay, well, I can generate on-demand PDFs for folks. I could even generate PDFs that have a unique credits page for the specific person downloading it, right? And it would be relatively easy to add PDFs for sale, right? Set a price on this thing and it just flows through our ordering system. That's quite possible too. And so it's just kind of a situation for us of, we need to figure out what people actually really want to use it for. But from a just pure download, here's the PDF. My first inclination, so tell me what you think about this, Johnny, is that I don't want to just serve the original PDF. I want to make each PDF that's served on a download at least identifiable to where it came from and who got it. There's a little bit of kind of, if it spreads like wildfire on the internet, we know a little bit more about, who started putting that stuff online. What do you think?
I think that, so effectively you're talking about tagging the PDF, right?
Just so that
you can kind of track where it goes.
It could be metadata in the PDF. It could be, invisible kind of transparent alpha channel watermarking. It could even be a Global Comix credit page, blah, 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 comics specifically for username, issue number, or, sale number 39, right? I'm the 39th person to have bought this, right? There's a lot of things that we can actually put in to the PDF.
NFT style DRM, is that
what you guys? It's not so much an DRM, Roland, as much as it could be as simple as attribution. This is the person who purchased and bought it, right? It can generate an additional page that's a thank you from the creators, thank you username for buying this. You are number 34 that picked up my book. Or whatever.
That's great. Yeah, no, I think that's a great functionality. People, I think, having that opportunity to not only see the number in terms of okay, I'm the 30th person or I'm the 50th person to back this book. That's kind of a little bit of what, when you're Kickstarter, you're oh, I'm the X backer of this book or whatever. You know what I mean? You get a little bit of that flavor. I was actually even just thinking now, alternatively, couldn't it just even be as simple as that if I do have a Dropbox link, you could put it into the back end, which would then just provide the hyperlink of download this PDF now?
I could. I'm not sure if that's something that we want to do. I think if we're going to do PDFs, we want to
curate it a little bit more, manage it a little bit better.
We want to make sure that the process is good, right? There are people that would use links nefariously and that would send you to some site that has malicious ads or whatever. And that's
my eyes are sensitive too to that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So it's about preserving the quality experience that the end user gets. But here's a little surprise for you. We haven't announced this, but for folks that have Creator Pro, it's now possible to put a link up for purchase of a print book on a specific release. So if you edit your release, there's a little field in there, and it shows up in the reading experience.
Oh, I'm gonna have to go in and edit my account.
Very cool. And then what do you just link it to a creator's Venmo or a Square account or something like that?
Yeah, whether it's a Squarespace or a Shopify or whatever that is, right?
Okay.
But it's intended
Cool.
The intent is entirely around, you can buy this physically, go support the creator if you want it in physical format. And
very cool.
That's fantastic.
For folks that are doing, like Kickstarters and whatever, it's particularly apt that once it's actually out, if it's for sale in your own web store, that once you've read a chapter on Global Comix, you can actually buy the physical one. You can directly support the creator that way.
Yeah, I like that. So you could even put a chapter out for free, and then say if you want to read more or get the physical copy, go to this link, or even offer the rest digitally for paying through normal Global Comix. Get either a subscription service or tokens to continue reading.
Yeah, and I mean, like, that's stuff that you can put in your book, right? Like, you can put the promo code on one of your pages, or as like a little insert with the book when you ship it, and have them claim it and get access to your stuff in Global Comix, right? Like, it works both ways.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome idea. That's a great idea for promoting, Johnny. Like, you can make postcards and like you can even make like a bookmark or something and put the promo code on the bookmark. I mean, there's so many opportunities.
So many ways you can work with that. I love that idea.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, conventions are coming up again. I'd love to experiment with that with y'all.
Yeah,
okay.
No, I already have shows booked. I did one last week actually. So, that's actually some food for thought actually.
Yeah, very cool. I do like that because it's like me personally, because I uploaded my books to Global Comix this past year, but before that I've only done like Comixology, and my experience with digital has been like less than grand. Comixology, it sounds amazing that you have a book up there, but then when you see what the actual returns are, it's very disappointing to say the least.
They're not showing you the analytical data, right?
No, they aren't.
You can't go into the back end and say, hey, how many pages were being read? Where did the reader stop reading my story?
Yeah, that's
all of this is available here on Global Comix, and that's part of the reason why I love it.
Yeah,
definitely. Down to which link they're clicking on too. I mean, you can really get all of it. Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, guys. So we're heading. We're a little over an hour now at this point, so we should start wrapping up. So anything we want to share? I'm gonna share out that promo code again.
Yep. So there's everybody. The promo code. Make sure people go and check out Resilience on the website. There's a whole bunch of wonderful creators who came together through Global Comix to support the pandemic, and that's a charitable book. So you be reading it's for a good cause.
Harry had a question here as well too. Let me bring that up before we wrap up here. Harry said, what about a promotion on Marketplace to have an up-and-coming artist or writer finish writing or draw a panel? I don't know what he means by that exactly.
If that was something that Harry wanted, if that's something that you wanted to facilitate, that's what that's there for. If that was something that you thought that maybe it's something we should do, just shoot us a message to clarify, just to see like what you're thinking about. But I think that it's an open platform, and the point is to try all sorts of crazy stuff. And I think the more novel and exciting, the more likely it is to pick up and be something that makes an impact. I just shared one last thing. If there's any comic writers that are watching, somebody on the site, Damian Wampler, just started something called Steel Kilt Festival, and it's specifically focused on comic writers. If you're looking to get a comic script read and get maybe some accolades or rewards or feedback, it's still early bird submission until the end of the month. So if you have any comic writer friends, you're looking to just get something out there without having to pull together a whole production and just celebrate the writing aspect, this is a new one-of-a-kind festival that I just had a great conversation with him about, and I definitely recommend looking into it.
And that's on the market.
Awesome.
That's on the marketplace.
That's just Steel Killed Festival. I just shared.
Steel. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the link is in the private chat, Keith, if you can share it out to everybody.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, first, let me share the Discord server one more time as well. And then
so many things to share.
I know. Well, the good thing is the replay video on when it goes on the YouTube channel, this chat will still be there as well, so people will be able to get it. All right, let me see this. So this is okay, perfect. Let me share that out as well. And all right. And where else can people find Global Comix? You guys on all the social medias, Instagram, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's at Global Comix on everywhere.
Everything.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Although we haven't been as active on Instagram yet as we want to. That's something that we're hoping on actually picking up on.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah. I don't know. It's one of those. It's just like one more thing to do on social media. I feel like I always find
Instagram, I'm going to learn Discord. It'll be
a
swap.
Yeah. Right. There you go.
Sounds
Johnny,
good.
Anything you want to promote before we start wrapping up here?
Just the usual things, but really I want to take the time to thank Christopher, thank Eric for coming back onto the show. We always love having you guys. Always fun to talk and catch up. And, we're looking forward to crossing paths again in person in the future. But in the meantime, thanks for, being there for independent creators and, and supporting the independent comic community. We greatly appreciate it.
Are you guys going to be at New York Comic Con this year? Are you guys setting up there at all, or?
We will definitely be there. In what format, like with booth or without booth, is still undecided.
Gotcha.
We've picked a list of, I think, like 10 or 12, 10 something, events that are particularly interesting to us, and that's one of them.
Oh, cool.
And so, like, if things go in the best possible way, then we'll go to all 10.
Awesome.
If if there are other things come up, or if there's challenge with flights or reservations or hotel, that God knows. We're gonna finalize all of this hopefully by mid-July, and then then we'll know a lot more. But we definitely wanna get to New York, obviously, and we definitely want to get to the C2E2 in December, and then all of the bigger ones in between.
Very cool. If you guys ever looking to do like a small show, I run a show up here in Massachusetts called Plastic City Con, and it's I built the convention with the creator in mind. So like we don't do any of the crazy stuff that other conventions do. Like we don't have cosplay contests. We don't have celebrities. It's just comic creators and comic vendors and
good old fashioned comics.
So if you guys ever want to come up, and I would definitely extend you guys a free table at the show.
Oh, sweet.
So just hit me up if you ever want to be. We do. It's a one-day show, which I know can be kind of like sucky for like flying in, for one day instead of a weekend, But I find that everyone just loves the one-day format that attends. So it's hard for me to kind of shake it up, and turn it into a 3-day show,
That's great.
I mean, that's within driving distance from Eric.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Eric. You're volunteering.
Sorry,
we'll see you next year.
He's nominated.
As long as Global Comix is buying the coffee, I'm on the road.
Yeah. So Eric, we just canceled this year's show because of COVID, but we're going to be back next summer. I think mid-July. I forget the date off the top of my head, but if you're interested and you want a table, let me know.
Hey man,
I'm seriously. We get a. I mean, it's a medium-sized convention, right, Johnny? It's like we got about 150 tables in there, We get a
at
good
an ice
crowd.
rink, so that gives you perspective for size, but it's filled up. So there's a lot of independent creators that go to the show.
And the other thing I do is very low admission. It's like $5. Kids are free, so we get a lot of people. So it's, definitely something to think about,
Sure.
Cool.
All right, perfect. So I got my plug in for Plastic City. Donnie, you have anything you want to promote?
Make sure you read Resilience on Global Comix, and thank you guys once again for coming on. We greatly appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, definitely. You guys are doing a great service for the indie community. We love having you as always. Come on the show and come back again at some point once Global Comix reaches that next tier.
Or the next project, whatever you guys got going on, we'd love to have you back.
Hey,
Definitely.
cool. We
It's
look
a
forward to it. Thank you.
All right.
guys.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you for your generosity
And then,
with all the links too.
Yeah, definitely. And everybody, we're off, I think, next week, but we'll be back the following Wednesday with, I believe, I always forget, Enrique Lopez, right?
Yeah, Enrique Lopez, I believe, is on the next
coming
one.
next 2 weeks from now. So
He's
part of some Kickstarter that's coming out. So that'll be our next guest. And then beyond that, But all right, guys, well, have a great night. Thanks for joining us in the chat. We'll be back in 2 weeks, and definitely use that promo code and check out Global Comix. All right.
Absolutely.
Later, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.